Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about season 3, episode 14. And then what's the title?
All Tomorrow's Parties. And then aired February 8th, 2006.
And the synopsis is?
It's the weekend of the Classic in Charlotte for the Ravens and their cheerleaders. Haley and Peyton go on a road trip with Brooke to New York for the Rogue fashion show before flying to Charlotte in time for the cheer competition. A schedule change, though, means Brooke has a big decision to make. Rachel does everything she can to mess with Brooke, and Coach Durham interferes with chaperones Karen and Keith's weekend. So we start off with Peyton narrating. I think this is the first time.
Yeah, that was weird.
Mm-hmm. And she's on the road with Brooke and Haley to New York. Brooke asks if Peyton is ready to talk about Ellie yet. And Peyton says she's dealing with Ellie's death the way she would have wanted her to, by really living life.
I'm really surprised Haley was there.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, they're back as a trio again now that Haley is on the cheerleading team.
Just because, Brooke always talks, and Peyton, they always talk about, like, we're best friends and stuff. And Haley's just sort of there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they brought her along.
Yeah. Yeah, so Peyton, says, like, what better way than road tripping to New York in the sweet ride and hopping on a plane.
Whose car is that?
I wasn't even, like, looking at that. I was guessing Brooke, because isn't she driving, or was that? Yeah, Brooke was driving, so wasn't that Brooke's car?
Well,
or maybe it's a rental. Who knows?
Because is that the same one, the DW not I one?
I don't know. It could
Because
be.
it's not her slug bug.
Okay.
So I'm like, it threw me off because I'm like, what car is this?
Yeah, the girls on Drama Queens didn't comment on that, so I have no idea.
Oh, also, I thought the plan was fly out to New York and then fly home. Why are they driving? And then flying? Like, what happens to the car?
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it's a rental, so they can just leave it there.
Because that was just weird. I'm like, what happens to the car then?
Yeah, they probably made arrangements to have someone pick it up from the airport. I mean, not from the airport, wherever they're going.
New York.
Yeah, and I guess they had extra time for this road trip too beforehand, so maybe that's why they wanted
go to school.
Well, it's the weekend, so maybe this is like a Saturday morning they're going, or Friday evening. I don't know. I really don't know.
Because it looks like during the day, but it's just kind of weird because I'm like, because when they get to the fashion show, it's still Saturday, and I'm like, it's just weird.
I think one of them is on Saturday and the other is Sunday.
Yeah, the finale is Sunday, but when they arrive, it's Saturday. So I'm just like, I was confused, but I was like, okay. I wasn't as confused though as the next scene.
Yeah, one is on Saturday, the other is on Sunday. So this has to be like Saturday morning.
Yeah, I said the finale was Sunday, but I just am more confused at the bus than this though.
What bus?
The bus. When we get to the bus scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're gonna apparently hop on a plane 9 hours later and fly to Charlotte. And, Payne says Ellie would have loved it, and Brooke then mentions that Rachel would hate it, so it's a win-win. And then, Haley is apparently...
when at the beginning, when Brooke brings up Ellie,
mm-hmm.
I was like, maybe if you were a friend and you had gotten to know Ellie, you could then share these sweet things to help her through it.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't get to know her, so... that's all.
Right.
Because it is weird they're talking about it now. They never brought up Ellie really before this whole season. It was brought up between like Lucas and Peyton, but not really Brooke and Peyton.
Yeah, they just had that one moment after she passed in the hallway at school.
Yeah, but I'm saying before that when she was alive.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just kind of weird because, like, when Peyton was struggling to, does she get to know her? Does she not? It was Lucas who was there. Brooke wasn't. And that's the thing is, like, that was something important in her life going on. And Brooke wasn't even there. So I just find that weird that Lucas was there, but Brooke wasn't.
Right.
That's why, how can you really be involved in the aftermath if you weren't even there?
Yeah, and then apparently Haley was tasked to be the navigator for the trip, and she's looking at the map. But then Haley mentions that they promised that they would switch seats once they hit Pennsylvania. And Brooke asks Haley if she's more excited about the fashion show or the cheerleading competition, and Haley answers sharing a hotel room with Nathan. And Peyton comments that Haley is so Brooke's roommate, and then Haley hits Peyton's arm because she saw a slug bug. And then Haley and Brooke
I
laugh.
remember doing that as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And then on the bus, Whitey says last
This
year.
is okay. This is the confusing part. Is this bus scene, because Whitey's talking about the past as if this year isn't going to be worse than the past. But he says curfew is at 11, and it was funny because he's like walking down the aisle right of the bus.
Yeah.
And like gets to the end, and he was like, "That goes for the chaperones too." And it's Keith and Karen making out. Oh, first of all, we kind of discussed it last time of how like the cheerleaders shouldn't be or wouldn't be on the bus with the boys.
Right.
So again, they're on the bus with the boys. And then to make it a step worse, the chaperones are also on the bus.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
No, because normally it would just be the team. It should have only been the team. And then if the girls were doing their cheer thing, they would have been on a separate bus. So I just find it weird that like everyone is on this bus. Everyone.
Well, I feel like if parents had to drive, then they just wouldn't go at all. If they had to drive on their own.
Yeah, but like when our school was winning games, parents were not allowed to ride on the bus. You had to drive yourself or carpool. You didn't just get to just freely take the bus. It was literally strictly for the boys, for the team. That was it. It was nothing about anyone else. Also, are they not playing? We did not see this episode. We saw the girls on stage at their cheer competition, but we did not see the boys play once.
Right. Yeah, that's because it took up the time with Brooke's fashion show.
But it was kind of like that last year too. It was more about the
cheer competition
than it was about their game scrimmage. I mean, what the hell? What are they doing there? I'm still confused.
Yeah, they supposedly are playing. But I like it just because we never see any cheer leading storylines because basketball usually overpowers it. So.
Oh, and also I do find this very weird because Lucas brought up like Dan and how it's probably good that he's not here to watch. And I'm like, Dan missing a basketball game? I just find that odd. And last year, the only reason why he missed it and he went on and on about it was because Deb took him to that thing. Wasn't it the overnight?
Yeah, it was something. I don't remember.
Yeah. And so I just remember he was mad about that. And so I can't imagine he would want to miss it again. So I just find that a little weird that that he's gonna miss it because he's doing mayor things.
Yeah, that, and he's probably also still trying to figure out why Keith has that ledger too. So.
Yes, but why would Dan miss the basketball game?
Well, since we never see the guys play, it can't be that important. So that's probably why he missed. Like they didn't think that he should go.
Like last year. Oh, I was okay to miss it last year. I'll miss it this year too. I just find it weird. But then Nathan said he plays better when Dan's around.
Right. Yeah, I didn't believe that one though.
Kind of weird. But I guess
Mhm.
I guess if you're put in the position since you could hold a basketball and you had the pressure since then, you probably may need it.
Mhm.
Because that's all you're used to. That's your world. And so if that person isn't there, for us, we're like, oh, well, of course, that's a blessing. But for that person, it's like, no, like I need that comfort of that person yelling at me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's Nathan.
Yeah. And then Nathan and Lucas are sitting in seats across from each other, and Nathan tells Lucas that his mom, making out on the bus isn't as humiliating as Dan's. I can't hear myself because my thing keeps going down.
Is Dan
Um,
assaulting him in the locker room?
yeah. Hmm. And that's when Lucas asks where Dan is. Understandable, like we were saying. And Nathan, so Nathan, like you said, has more stuff to do. And then he's probably planning another invasion of another city, which was funny because like that easily could happen. And then Lucas comments, least that's less pressure off of Nathan. So, that's when, like you said about him playing. And Lucas asks if that's some kind of twisted good luck charm, and Nathan says no, more like a gun to his head. So that's why he plays better, apparently. Um. So yeah, but I think the pressure off of him is better because when the pressure was really bad, that's when he took those enhancement drugs. So and almost died. And then back with the girls, Brooke is playing the game where the radio is like a magic 8 ball. I think, at least for me, I feel like this made me feel like I was too young because I don't remember hearing about this game at all. Do you?
I mean, I know the Magic 8 Ball, but yeah,
Yeah.
I never played or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've never played that. And I've definitely never based, but also I've never based my life off of the Magic 8 Ball either. So
Mm-hmm.
like there are girls that like swear by it, like like the Magic 8 Ball and stuff. Like that's what they're gonna do, and it's like no, I'm not basing my life off of a game.
Mm-hmm. And then, so she's using it to see what's going to happen to her in New York at the fashion show. And Haley points out that that was the first question she asked, and she can't ask the same question twice.
Yeah, and she's only asking it because she wants a different answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's not only one thing can happen at the fashion show, and Payne says that defeats the
So
purpose.
I thought it was funny when Haley said that when she asked the question, what will happen with me and Nathan, and her song was Highway to Hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. Like looking at the future, it's like obviously it meant nothing
Right.
because what happens in the future. It's like okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I did think that it was funny when Brooke tried to change the subject and was like, my next question, what is Lucas thinking about right now? I mean, come on now. And then of course the song is torn between two lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. So.
Brooke and Peyton are like, oh god, like change it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brooke says new game, and
Yeah.
Haley suggests movie quotes.
Why? So then we can go back to like um a movie that has love triangle.
Well, Haley quotes "Dazed and Confused," but I haven't seen that one, so I don't know.
But then all of a sudden, she sees they made it to New York. She sees the scenery.
Mm-hmm. And then at the classic with the girls, Rachel's taking charge, of course, and Bevan tells her Brooke was never this strict, but she kind of was, if we remember.
She was. I mean,
Yeah.
she told Teresa, wasn't it talking about her face and
Yeah, and it was like chicken pox.
yeah, and it was like rude and didn't she tell someone they need to lose 5 pounds? I don't know. She was just kind of on it.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah, she was just rude to people at the last competition.
Mhm. And now we know that Trius isn't here, and that's probably why.
Mhm.
And then, Bevan says that Brooke always let them do what they want before the competition.
But it was funny though, because she goes, "Do I look like Brooke?" And she goes, And then she said, "Thank God, no."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "What?" Oh my
Right.
God.
And then Bevan, wants to get out of this, so she fakes coughs and says she doesn't feel good and is going to try to take a nap and fakes coughs more. But, she faked cough better than Brooke and Peyton, so.
Ooh.
And then the girls walk into the place where the fashion show is, and Brooke is immediately in her own little heaven. Brooke explains to the woman in charge, Juliet, that she doesn't have much time there because she has a flight back home tonight for cheerleading competition. And yeah.
Haley.
Hmm.
What is she doing wearing gloves and a scarf? She had gloves, like, glove mittens on her hand, and she was holding a scarf. And I was like, is this winter? I'm like, everyone else is wearing like dresses and shorts, and you're wearing gloves and holding a scarf. Not even Peyton and Brooke were wearing that. I was just so confused. I'm like, what? Did you just jump into some different world?
I guess
Why wouldn't you leave that in the car? You're going inside. What do you need it for? Is it snowing outside?
Well, it's supposedly about February in New York, so it could be freezing still. And I guess maybe Peyton and Brooke are used to the cold and Haley isn't. But
it's strange to me that she's wearing that, because wouldn't like Peyton or Brooke have a scarf on or something? And it's just weird. Like, why? And why isn't she taking them off either? You're
I don't know. Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, they're supposed to be there for a while to
When I
support her.
walk in somewhere and I am wearing gloves, I take them off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't walk around like a weirdo having gloves on.
Right.
I was like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But it reminded me of the future episode.
Which one?
The one where she loses her ring and she wears the mittens or whatever to dance. And I'm like, so that's what it took me to, was that scene. And I was like, did you lose something?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only reason why you would wear that.
Right. Yeah, so Brooke goes on and on about how her two friends are there to support her and they want to go back home together.
Her two best friends? When did Haley become a best friend?
Did you say a best friend? I thought you just said her friends.
At one point she said, oh yeah, she said my two best friends drove down with me, and I was like, what? When did you consider Haley a best friend?
I don't know.
Like, I know they're roommates, but she always goes on about my best friend Peyton, my best friend. She doesn't say my best friends.
Right.
So that was the first time I heard her say best friends.
Yeah, so she asks what time is she going on, and that's when Juliet, the woman who's in charge, said there's a schedule change.
I'm not gonna lie. When I heard that, I was like, did Rachel call?
Right.
Because I was very confused, because like, how did it work so perfectly for Rachel that, Peyton or that Brooke wasn't going to be there that night, unless she had called and arranged this whole thing.
Yeah, that could have happened and that was cut out, so we don't know how that happened, or it's just a business too, so I won't be surprised if that's actually just what naturally happened on its own.
But also, why would she be closing?
I don't know.
Aren't like the best ones, like best designers, supposed to close?
Yeah, but I guess this is like a starter fashion show where like newcomers are up, so it doesn't really matter who goes first and last because they're all competing for the same thing.
I still feel like it would matter. And I feel like Brooke, a 17-year-old, wouldn't be closing.
Who knows?
That's important, because it's like ending the show where the people are going to remember that design over any of them.
Yeah, well, if that would have been the case, then Brooke would have probably realized later that she didn't want to be there and go back home, and ended up getting there too late to not be in the show for the cheerleading competition. But Brooke asks if it's a good change or a bad change, and Juliet says her clothes don't show until tomorrow. So Brooke, who just rambled on about not having that much time, says that's a bad change. And then Juliet, of course, has to kind of mock Brooke and says, well, it looks like you have a cheer decision to make. And then later on, the girls are sitting at the end of the stage while it's empty. This place was empty quite a bit. You think that there'd be somebody there, even if it's like, crew or something. But Brooke says she hates the director lady and she's wearing white and it's way after Veterans Day. And then, Haley corrects her about it being Labor Day, actually. But I don't know why. I never known anybody to even follow that rule in the first place. But it's just like always mentioned in shows for some reason. And then Brooke asks, what is she going to do now? She wants to find a radio to make up her mind, but Payne tells her to get herself together because she's never worked so hard at anything in her life except her fake ID, but this is her big chance.
So is it really around Labor Day?
No, I'm just saying that it's like a rule to not wear white after Labor Day, which was in September of last year. So I don't know how long that rule rolls out until you can supposedly wear it again. So I don't know.
Well, I'm just confused at what time frame this is.
Yeah, it should be February of New York or January maybe.
Basketball just started.
Okay, yeah, well, I don't know basketball season, so.
Remember, December to March.
Okay.
And we still have season 4 that's in basketball season.
Well, then maybe that's why Haley was wearing gloves, because it's like November, December. So just like winter just started.
Yeah, so take your gloves off.
Mm-hmm. And then Brooke tells the girls to go on without her because Payne's right, it's her big shot. And she tells them to go before she changes her mind, and they hug her and walk out. And then back in North Carolina, Karen and Keith walk into their hotel room, and I think Keith definitely booked the room himself, because why else would there be, flowers and champagne and a view?
The school, I swear, would not.
Yeah, so
not pay for this.
Yeah, I think
the school would be like, you're getting the cheapest room possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think Keith told Whitey or the school somebody that he was going to make his own arrangements,
But I will say it was so cute of Keith.
Mm-hmm.
You got her flowers, and it's like the room was perfect, and she was loving it. And then Whitey walks in.
Yeah, well, he walks out of the bathroom, so he already was in there first.
And how did he have a key then? If that was Keith's room that he paid for, then
I have no idea. I guess maybe Whitey wanted to be strict with the chaperone rules because he remembers what Karen did last time too with Payne's dad.
Yeah, so but it's just weird that he would still get the key to it.
Yeah, well, I think he probably told the front desk that there was a change with rooms for the adults, so that's probably how he did it.
Oh, I'm sure they would say, well, we got to contact Keith who purchased it, so maybe he didn't purchase it.
Yeah, maybe he lied.
That's what I'm getting at, because otherwise, if he purchased it, he can put anyone he wants in the room.
Right.
So, he probably didn't purchase it. He probably just purchased everything else in the room.
Yeah, that could be it. That makes sense.
But it was funny because when Keith was like, "What are you doing in our room?" and then when he goes, "Don't you mean our room?" and he goes, "The two of you shacked up together in sin. That's a bad example to the children."
Mm-hmm.
What? First of all, these kids are like seniors, and at this point, I don't really think that mattered.
Yeah, because we know that they're.
This is what 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think back in 2006 it really mattered like it did in the 90s or 70s, 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know that teenagers have sex anyhow, no matter what decade. And then plus 2 of them are married, so that really doesn't apply here to them.
And they're going to have sex wherever, whenever. Like,
you're
not going to stop them. And so that's what was weird. But yeah, because they're the example. First of all, Karen is actually a bad chaperone. Do you remember last year with Larry?
Yeah, that's what I said about Whitey trying to change things so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, so why doesn't he just stop inviting Karen to be a chaperone?
I guess nobody else volunteers, probably.
Well, clearly, because Tim isn't even on the team anymore. So, because otherwise his stepmom, you could say his stepmom could come and take up, because she would. She'd be like, whipping them into shape. Like, you guys, it is 10:59. Y'all need to be in your beds.
Mm-hmm.
You know she would. And
Yeah.
then she'd be yelling at all the other chaperones that they also need to be in bed.
Right, except Tim isn't even here, so that
Well,
wouldn't work
that's what
out.
I'm saying. He's not even on the team.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying it would be funny if he was on the team still and she chaperoned.
Right.
Because I feel like that's how it would go if she did chaperone.
Mm-hmm.
But it is weird how it's not mentioned. Whatever happened to Tim? Like,
Right.
he was on the team back when they did the fantasy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was it because we don't see him on the team again. Because he wasn't cleaning, was he?
No.
No. So he just disappeared and no one's questioning it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then so Whitey tells Karen that he'll take care of Keith, and then he finds the truffles from the gift basket, saying to them like, "Isn't this romantic?" And then Lucas and Nathan get to their room, and
It's
apparently,
one big ass bed.
yeah, a lot of them seem to be one bed. I noticed. So did they just not have single beds in the whole hotel free up, or?
I feel like that's odd. Plus, I feel like you could get the rollaway or whatever beds.
Mm-hmm.
Because if
Yeah, there's
there's
not
only
even.
one, then I feel like you could get two.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like there's like any chairs or couches in there, so like a second person can like even just sit down. So everybody like has to sleep on the floor if they're not in the bed, which is weird. But yeah, I don't know. Unless this is like the cheapest hotel the school could get, and this is all that is available. I don't know. It's just weird because hotels have the accommodations for all different sizes of beds and single ones.
But I will say that when we went to Washington, D.C., there was 4 to a room
Mm-hmm.
and there was 2 beds.
Right, 2 and 2.
And I remember this one group.
Mm-hmm.
3 slept in one bed.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I guess nobody wanted to sleep with the other person.
Oh, that's bad.
So, because I don't know if they moved around or snored or something, but I just remember like they were like, we all slept in the same bed because we weren't going to sleep with that person. Like, oh my God.
I hope it's because she like maybe moves her arms, flares around. Don't want to hit anybody. Kind of
Yeah,
situation.
I forgot I'd have asked JC what the reason was, but I remember and I was like, okay, that's odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember like we had to share a bed.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they had to shove everybody in one room. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess you could say it would apply here too, I guess, because they don't want to pay for 2 beds, I guess. So,
Right.
I guess too, because it's not boys and girls together, that's not what it's supposed to be. So,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not too awkward, even though I don't know.
Well, it's awkward for Lucas and Nathan, but when it
But they're
costs more,
brothers. They're brothers.
I know, but the way they're rock paper scissoring it, trying to figure out who gets the bed. I mean, like, yeah, this could make up for the sleepovers they didn't have as kids, but when it costs more to buy or book rooms with one single like queen size bed, they look kind of small. It's like maybe queen size or whatever, maybe is under that, full size, something like that.
Probably.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so.
All I know though is these kids have way too much freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you, when we went to Washington, there was no such thing as freedom.
Right.
We were bossed around from the minute we got there till we entered school again. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, what?
Yeah.
So I can tell you that there was no sneaking around. There was no, let's just say if you missed breakfast downstairs, which some did, some last minute would like walk in. It was like, you got 5 minutes and we are leaving. And they had to like walk out, like trying to shove their food in their face. So I can tell you, like, these kids have freedom because our school did not give us freedom. They didn't say, you can go to any restaurant, you can go anywhere, you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even recall our hotel room having a TV.
Right.
So I'm just saying that they have it nice because they have the freedom to go everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And were these rooms like were they assigned or were they like people picked what they had?
No, I think they were assigned.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes sense that Nathan and Lucas would be.
Right.
I mean, plus they're captains.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're brothers. So,
Right.
and they clearly don't like anyone else on the team besides the two of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't see anybody else besides the two of them. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I can see why they did it. And even the girls, like, if Brooke isn't there,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, Peyton and Haley would probably be roommates.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that. But does that mean Rachel had no roommate?
Yeah, I think there's 10. Yeah, there's 10 total girls. That because we know later Rachel says that her routine works for only 9 girls. So yeah, that had to have been. It just worked out the way since Brooke was gone, so it wasn't really her fault. That I mean, she did, indirectly plan it that way for herself. But yeah, so
Because I'm just like, because if the school knew that, they would be like 3 to a room. I mean,
maybe yeah.
like 2, 2, 2, and then like the last one will have 3 because we are not paying for an
Mm-hmm.
extra room for one person when that one person can just join another room.
Right. Well, Brooke actually did originally plan on being at the competition anyways. So yeah, that's why she ended up alone.
Because I was just gonna say, yeah, but our school. Last
Mm-hmm.
minute, if they found out, they'd be like, "Well, sorry to tell you, girls, but someone has to have 3 in a room." Our school would.
Yeah, I feel like if this happened in real life, if one of them said, "Oh, I have another commitment," then the school would be like, "Just okay, then you're not going to end up coming with us." So, or
Yeah, you're not
yeah,
coming, and
hmm
we're taking out a room. So
yeah, even
good
if the
luck.
schedule's lined up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way that maybe other schools, but again, not our school.
hmm Yeah. So with their extra freedom, they have Nathan's friend Tony
I
knock on the
will
door.
say, I did think it was funny when they were playing rock paper scissors and Lucas won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah, so apparently Tony lives in the town next over. So I don't know if that means that he just knew that they were to be there and visited them, or he was on another team. They didn't really show him later on, so I think that's what it was.
So who is this guy?
Just another random friend from, Nathan's backstory that we don't know about till now.
We learned nothing. Like all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, here's this guy, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna
Right.
lie, I do like the guy, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it just doesn't really make any sense.
Right. Yeah, Tony says, now he gets to beat his ass in the tournament and not just one-on-one. So yeah, he's part of this too. We just don't see him later on, like I said. So it seems
Ever.
like he's not
We
there.
never
Yeah.
we never saw or heard from him before. We never see him again.
Mm. And apparently Tony heard a lot about Lucas, being the jump shooter.
And he took Nate's girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, been lied about it. And then Nathan, asked Nathan if they're gonna still hang out tonight. And Nathan says he's not sure. They have a
I
curfew.
did like when Nathan said we got a curfew, and I was like, when did Nathan ever care about a curfew?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Yeah. Unless that's part of him being a better person thanks to Haley. I don't know. Yeah, so Tony says they'll make it an early wild night. He tells them to get their stuff and go with him. Elsewhere, one of the cheerleaders is walking to her and Bevan's room, but Bevan won't let her in.
Because
She's
apparently she has
yeah.
a fever. It was okay. I'm not gonna lie. It was funny when she took the girl's stuff and she like shoves it at her. Like, go find another room.
Yep, and shuts the door in her face. Yeah.
She doesn't even care where she's gonna sleep though. You just gotta sleep somewhere else.
Well, I guess she knows that Rachel, doesn't have a roommate, so maybe that's what she was thinking
Yeah,
she was going to
Rachel
do.
really wants to share with somebody.
Mm-hmm. And then Bevan turns around and, thanks Skills for driving all the way to be with her for the weekend.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This was funny though, because when she turned around, he was like, "You look hot," and she goes, "I don't really have a fever."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like, really?
Oh, I'm sorry, but I couldn't be with somebody like that.
Right. Yeah.
I'd be like, at a certain point, I'd be like, "Listen, I'm trying to speak to you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you not hear what I'm saying?"
Right.
I'd probably break up. I couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, Karen again was a bad chaperone because she never found out that Skills was even there. So.
No, and Lucas only found out at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, she was really hiding him. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then back at the fashion show, Brooke is backstage trying to take in her new environment. She feels out of place and trying not to get in anybody's way. She asks someone if they know where the model to wear her clothes is. After saying her name and her model, Solaris taps her shoulder, who happens to be sitting right behind her.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't look 15.
Oh, she did to me. I haven't seen her this young. Yeah, Peyton List. I've seen her in other things when she's older, so seeing her this young, I was really shocked.
Not me. I was like, you don't look 15.
Let's see if I can look up how old she was at the time.
And then when Brooke was like, oh, because you look like you're 25, I was like, to be honest, that's what she looks like.
I mean, she kind of has a face where she could be either 15 and 25 at the same time.
No, I just, maybe 20. I'm not going to go like a 25, but definitely not 15.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny because she goes, yeah, you and every bartender in the city. And then Brooke goes, nice. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Brooke, again, you've changed. Let's go to the change, Brooke.
Oh, yeah, she was about 19 when they filmed this, so... Well, she was still younger than Sophia, so...
Yeah, but I'm just saying, she just looked older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, there are people that look older and they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. And then Brooke apologizes for being overwhelmed. She's still in high school and this is all new to her. So Solaris says she knows how Brooke feels because everyone there is like 30 and she's half their age. And Brooke processes this and says Solaris is either 15 or really bad at math like her. And Solaris says it's both. And Brooke tells her she thought, yeah, like you said, 25. And then Brooke lets Solaris know she's happy that there's another kid around. She misses her friends already. And, Solaris is excited about Brooke's line because she said she would actually wear it while her friend Jessica has to wear a shirt made of tacks.
I do like when the girl said, do you have any plans? And then, Brooke was, didn't really say anything, but it was like the look of like, no. And then she's like, well, you do now. And Brooke was all happy. Because, Brooke's alone in New York.
Yeah.
So I was happy that she kind of like met a friend, kind of. As in they could be friends. And and then she was inviting her out, even though I didn't really like where they went. But it was just nice that she wasn't alone.
Right. And then Nathan, Lucas, and Tony are walking towards where the party supposedly is. And Nathan tells Tony he's took him to wild parties before, but he's outdoing himself this time, which I don't know why, because they're just walking. Nothing's even happened yet, but yeah, it's pretty wild. And then, unless he's talking about being out when they're not supposed to, but they walk up to a house who we know is Tony's house because two kids step out, a boy and a girl. They're his siblings, and they both look at Nathan and says he doesn't look like he has game. Or the boy does. And then back at the classic, the girls are rehearsing. Rachel criticizes Bevan's movements. She explains she's making an L. And Bevan says that's the only way she can remember. It's left and not right. And Rachel tells her it looks like she's making the loser sign. And then Rachel walks away. So Bevan makes the loser sign towards her back. But Bevan's ex-roommate corrects her by showing her how she's supposed to do it with the other hand.
Yeah. I like when Peyton and Haley show up. And then they were like, oh, thank God you guys are here. And then they're like, where's Brooke? And then, they said where she was. And then she wasn't coming. And of course, like Rachel's all happy.
Yeah. Yeah, saying they have to go on without her. And then she tells the girls to head to their rooms to get some rest for tomorrow. And Bevan is excited and heads towards her room because we know that she's happy to see Skills.
Yeah, and she's not going to be sleeping.
And And then Haley tells Peyton that she can always call her if she needs anything. Peyton tells her thanks, but she knows she wants to spend time with Nathan, so for not to worry about her. And then Rachel walks up to Peyton,
And
telling her,
asks her if
Mhm,
she wants or that she has tequila in her room.
mhm,
And then of course Peyton agrees to go.
mhm. Yeah, so both bad
Like
decisions on their part.
not the good, like not the best combo.
Mm-mm. And then back at the fashion show, Solaris leads Brooke around a party, introducing her to her friend. And the friend asks Solaris if she has a cigarette, which was the only thing she said to her after Solaris was talking about Brooke's fashion line. And Solaris tells her friend she quit smoking. So then Solaris tells Brooke ever since her friend got her rib taken out a year ago and those horrible collagen lip injections, she's totally washed up. And then Solaris perks up to cheers with their champagne glasses. So I don't like how, at least on TV shows like this, I see they act like you're friends to your face, and then when you leave, they do this kind of thing to make themselves look better than that person.
Mhm.
And I feel like eventually, anyways, when Solaris gets older, she'll probably do some cosmetic surgery as well, and then she, won't be to say anything about her friend.
Well, especially if she's already looking like people are saying she's 25, 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in 5 years she'll be doing work because she's gonna look 40 then to people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and what's scary, what do you know what's sad though?
Hmm.
It's there's 18, 19-year-olds getting Botox and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
It's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some people our age I know that I started doing it in their early 20s.
Well, Botox or actual surgery?
Right. No, Botox and lip injections. Yeah, because now Botox is advertised as a normal thing to help with migraines and muscle tension in the jaw and stuff like that. I know. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't trust that going into my face, and I already have enough muscle problems already, so that would probably backfire on me greatly. But yeah, so because we know how some women end up when they get older after having it for so long too.
That's what I mean when they're 18 and they're
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
Yeah.
What are you gonna look like when you're 35?
Yeah, unless you have the best doctor, it'll be rough.
I'm not gonna lie though, some of these celebrities have the best doctors, and
Mhm.
it's questionable.
Yeah, Christina Aguilera, she looked bad a few years ago, and now
Oh,
all of a sudden she looks good. Well, it's just her lips. You could tell she put too much in her
I was
lips.
like, dang, you just outed one person.
No, that's the only example I can think of. Everybody knows that she looks suddenly in her 20s again when she's in her 40s. So she lost a lot of weight too. So I don't know what happened there, but she looks completely different now all of a sudden.
Can I have a doctor? Give
Right.
us the number.
Hmm. And then yeah, so then in Rachel's room, Peyton says it's kind of weird them hanging out, but it's nothing personal. She just never imagined them hanging out. And then Rachel tells Peyton they probably have a lot more in common than she thinks. Then again, they'll probably never get the chance to find out since she's not Brooke's favorite person and Peyton is. And Peyton tells Rachel that Brooke just doesn't trust her. And Rachel asks Peyton, and you do? And Peyton says, not really. She just wanted a drink.
That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, Peyton was alone. So,
Right.
of course, she's going to go with Rachel.
Mm-hmm. And then Bevan calls Rachel's cell, saying Payne's on her room right now, unlike her, who's totally asleep.
Right.
Yeah.
So when she says that Lucas and Haley switched rooms, so she could be with Nathan, and so now Peyton has to be roomed with Rachel because she said that Peyton can't be in the same room as Lucas. That's when little Rachel perks up of oh, wait a minute, this is perfect.
Yeah, I was wondering how far she planned this out because just getting Peyton drunk would only ruin the competition for everybody tomorrow, not just Peyton. So I don't know what Rachel's plan was there when it came to that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and that was my thing was I thought maybe all along she had planned this, but then when I saw the look on her face of ding, 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 I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute. You didn't even know that was a possibility? That,
Right.
you could shove those two in the same room together?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know. That's what was weird. Because, yeah, I thought that too. You're only getting her drunk? Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Was it maybe so she maybe thought like Peyton would tell Brooke's deepest, darkest secrets, maybe?
Yeah, that could be it too.
And then she could use it against her or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she had a better idea, apparently. Just shove
Mhm.
Lucas and Peyton in the same room together.
Yeah.
So then when she
And
said, now she's your roommate,
mhm.
Rachel's like, okay, whatever.
Right. And then it was funny because before they hang up, she tells Bevan to say hi to Skills for her. And then, Payne asks what's up. Rachel lies and says Bevan wants her to be, wanted her to be reminded of bringing her flat iron to her in the morning. Obviously, we know Payne isn't going to do that, but it would have been funny to see what Bevan would have done if she did that. Like, oh, I didn't know I need this, but okay, she wouldn't have made a big deal of it, but it would have been funny to see Brooke or Peyton know that Rachel lied about that. But then Bevan walks up to Skills in the pool room, telling him Rachel says hi, and that's when she realizes that Rachel knows she's sneaking a boy around when she was told to get some sleep before the competition. But she says, oh, well, and then asks Skills if he's ready for a swim, and he says, yeah, the jacuzzi looks good, and Bevan wants to swim first. But, Skills fights her on it and says, that
He
he's
doesn't know
good.
how.
Yeah. Yeah, well, first Bevan assumes it, and she asks him if that's true, and he says, I'm losing my place in my notes. Yeah, and then he's offended that she even asks that. He asks if it's because he's black, and she thinks that all black people are scared of water, and she says she's sorry. Of course he can swim. And then he admits he can't. So Bevan says that she's getting to the pool and takes off her robe, and when Skill sees her in her bikini, he changes his mind, of course.
Yeah, now he wants to.
Mm-hmm. And says, how hard can it be? And Bevan takes his hand to lead him into the pool. He's all distracted, complimenting her, saying she smells like candy. And she says it's a body spray, which that comes back later.
What I thought was funny was when she was like, you can trust me and stuff. And she's like, I won't let anything happen. And she's like, it's like the movie Titanic. And she's like, I'll never let you go. And he goes, that's easy for you to say because the girl lived, but the dude is ass drowned.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Technically he froze to death, but yeah, either way he didn't make it.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it's Rose's fault. So
yeah,
as long as Bevan isn't Rose, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna lie, when he said all that, it's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Kiki Palmer is all about that Dora situation. And how Rose could have let him on it. Yeah, it's online. She said it more than once because somebody brings it up too, just to make her talk about it again because it's so funny how she talks about it. But Lucas and Nathan joined Tony's family for dinner, and Nathan was about to serve himself food until Tony's mom says that they say grace before dinner.
I thought this was weird. The fact that like Nathan is the guest and he's going right for the food and nobody's touched. I'm like, normally you wait till someone else at the table has started and then you
right. Mm-hmm.
I was like, who just goes to somebody's house and is like,
yeah,
they never had food and like I'm gonna just eat it all. And I'm like, you didn't even wait for anyone else to
yeah. So it's not even about grace, it's just courtesy. Because like usually when you're a guest, you usually help yourself, and that's when you start serving yourself.
Yeah, or do you want any whatever they're having?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's what was weird was that like he just started going and I was first of all, as if he's never had food before. And secondly, I was like, you've never been to anybody's house, because if you did, it's not even the grace part. It's the fact that you would like wait for others to reach for food before you reach for food, because that's just awkward because it's not your house to just sit there and gobble up all the food.
Yeah. Well, we know Nathan never got dinner manners from like his parents or probably
but he must not have went to people's houses.
Yeah, so I'm saying like he probably went over Tim's house, but that was it. And we know that we never see Tim's dad, and we know his stepmom doesn't really care about him. So yeah, so it does make sense why Nathan would think that this is just completely normal, normal thing you do.
So he did it at like Haley's house. He just like started eating when her parents didn't even reach for food, like to put on their own plate.
As far as we know, we don't know if they even had dinner before her parents left.
No, but they seemed like they had gotten to know Nathan while they were dating, remember?
I know, I just barely. I don't know.
I mean, for us, yeah, we know that they
Mhm.
never really did, but for the simple fact that they acted like on the show, like it was all behind the scenes, like, he's kind of like part of the family, and it's like, huh?
Mhm.
As if you're part of the family, you're gonna at least have one meal together.
Right. Yeah, and then Tony's sister's name is Aaliyah because the dad asks if she wants to say Grace. I'm thinking she was named after the singer, and then she says thanks for the lasagna and for sending Lucas
And
and
for
having
and for having
yeah.
him sit next to me.
Because he's
Oh,
really fine.
it
And
was
she's like 10.
hilarious.
And her parents, I thought her parents were going to say something, but they didn't. And
No, her
Lucas just
dad
says,
looked up though and was like,
yeah.
"That was nice." Or something.
Yeah, and
But
Lucas says that was the best Grace ever, of course.
didn't didn't the little sister of that Chris guy or something in Dawson's Creek have a crush on Dawson?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, yeah. The,
Little nosy one.
yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Haley. Joey ended up being like the bigger sister to her, but I was like,
Yeah. And then Tony mentions to his dad that he told Nathan and Lucas he's going to beat them in the classic tomorrow, though we never see that. And his dad asks if they know, who holds the all-time record for points in the classic, him. And Nathan asks, or Lucas asks him what happened, and he says life happened, and he points to Tony, saying he had this knucklehead. And then Nathan asks Tony's dad if it was hard letting go, wondering what might have been. He says not really. At a certain point, it's not about what might have been, but what might be. And Lucas looks, at Nathan, probably wondering if he's thinking of quitting basketball sometime soon. And Tony's dad just continues talking to the guys, asking if they all saw, the guys hanging out in the street corners, just like them, and what might
so
have been.
I thought it was like a little flashback kind of thing of like Deb. Remember when she said like no basketball talk? Because Tony's mom was like kind of like trying to like stop the talking of basketball. Like there's nothing else you guys can talk about.
Yeah, and if he wants to get off his soapbox, Leah's all about Lucas. She's just like completely, in love with him and asking, or passing him a bowl, food and everything, and she's not listening. And then just then Tony's mom asks Lucas and Nathan what their father does, and Lucas says he hangs out with
And that was funny because he was like he hangs out with what might have been.
And then Tony's dad says deep down he bets he wishes the best for them.
Yeah, that's what I thought was weird. Okay, first of all, he wants to kill Lucas. So I'm like, plenty of times. And I'm like, okay, for Lucas, like, let's just go with Lucas for a second. Dan does not care about Lucas. And I'm like, what? And then for Nathan, for Nathan, he's a different story. I do think Dan wants what's best for him, but he wants what's best for him in his own way. Like, it needs to be my plan, not yours, but mine, and it has to go my way, not how you want to plan it. It's my way. So, because if it's not, and you're off track of my way, then he's not happy. But I do think he does want what's best for Nathan. He wants out of the town. He wants him to be better than him, but pushes him in a nasty way. But for Lucas, no, I don't agree with that statement. And it's just weird because it's like we're going back to like, oh, Lucas as a father, like we're calling him father. If I was Lucas, I'd be like, I don't have one.
Right. Yeah. Tony's dad is just assuming that every man is good and actually wants to for their children.
Because every father hopes for that, and I'm like, and you never met Dan.
And Tony's little brother too says, to his dad, not yours. And that's when Tony tells them, his youngest son is referring to the father he never knew, but he bets somewhere out there he's thinking the same thing. That's what fathers do.
No.
Yeah.
But also like for Nathan, if he was really friends with this Tony guy, don't you think that Tony would have heard Nathan talking about Dan?
Yeah, at some point, or seen him around, ran into him,
or heard him on the phone yelling at Nathan like, you need to come home. You gotta, a game or a practice or something. Like, I just feel
Right.
like at some point he would have heard something from Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
So, the fact that he didn't, I'm like, I don't think these two are friends.
Right.
It's hard to believe because it's like these two had just met off the street just yesterday, and he's bringing them home to like meet the family because he also acts like he's never met this family before.
Mm-hmm. And then
And
back.
again, like I get maybe Tony not meeting Dan, but I feel like because Tony's family is really good and nice, I feel like Nathan would have met them before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to like Tony kind of like guiding him to like his family because, you know, like he wants him to be more like his family and away from Dan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just doesn't feel like they've known each other.
Yeah, maybe they've only been friends through competitions like this, so that's why maybe Nathan's never went over his house because Dan never let him. Just kept him in the hotel. Because like, yeah, he does make a comment later that easily you can see that he just met the family. But back with Karen and Keith, they're trying to have dinner, but then Whitey drops his heavy bowling bag on the table suddenly, startling them.
Oh my god, it was funny because like, you know, when Keith was like, you know, I already have plans and stuff, and then Whitey was like, you disappear for 4 months and then you can't find the time to take an old man bowling. I'm like,
Mm-hmm,
oh
making him feel bad.
god. But how he was saying it too, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
so
Karen,
sad.
yeah, then Karen's like, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No,
And then Whitey
I'm
tells
not
Keith to
gonna
carry
lie,
his bag.
I kinda wish I could have seen the two of them go bowling.
Yeah, me too.
Also, they have all this free time. They're going bowling now?
Yeah, so that's just another reason why everybody can do what they want because two of the adults, unless the bowling alley's in the hotel, like two of the adults are outside of the hotel.
I mean, you've got Bevan and Skills swimming.
Mm-hmm.
You have Rachel and Peyton getting drunk. Now you've got these two chaperones going, or you know, because Whitey is still a chaperone. Now you've got them going bowling.
Yep.
They're not even taking the kids.
Mm-mm.
That's the thing. Once they've done a group activity of going bowling,
Yeah, they should have.
instead of you know, to keep an eye, make sure the kids are all still good, and instead of
Mm-hmm.
just the two of them, and also
Right.
Whitey brought his bowling ball.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So he planned this.
When did
Just me, him,
he
and Keith.
bring?
I guess
Like,
it was on the bus somewhere, whether it's like under the seats or in the trunk area or whatever.
that was weird. I was like, you brought a bowling ball
Mm-hmm.
of all things.
Right. And then back at the party with Brooke, she's asking some guy named Travis if he's seen Solaris. He says she's in the VIP room, and Brooke says she can't be because she was just in there. So he says he's talking about the real VIP room upstairs. So then Brooke
Yeah,
goes in,
the one you don't want to go to.
and finds her, but she's out of it. And Brooke asks if she's okay, and she says she snorted too much H. Never heard anybody call it that, but she'll be fine in a minute. And Brooke asks if she's talking about heroin, and Solaris starts passing out now. Then out of nowhere, Travis is sitting right behind Brooke and says, Solaris, the princess, fell off her pony, because how they see her in their eyes. And then, he's laughing, and the woman walks up to Solaris, and Brooke asks Travis if, if she's okay. Travis creepily says she's more than okay, calling Brooke sweetie and to trust him. And the other woman tells an unconscious Solaris that she's so pretty, also very creepy. And then when Brooke has her attention on Solaris, Travis starts touching Brooke's arm. She turns towards him and says she's only 17. And that's when he says he didn't know that she was so old. He thought she was Solaris's age. And she tells him that's disgusting. He tells her to watch herself, calling her little girl.
That's the thing that was disgusting because she's
Mm-hmm.
17 and
Yeah.
Solaris is only 15. Like, it's not that far away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Travis tries touching her again, but she pulls her hand away from him and walks out.
Well, and I think he didn't like it either because Brooke was trying to save her and he didn't like that. So then, you know, that's why he called her old. But it's like, it's just gross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think he wanted his way with Brooke too. And then when when I first watched this episode, because I think we left off somewhere in season 2 together, but when I watched this episode myself, I thought the worst was going to happen to Solaris because we don't see her until the very end when she's okay again, but who knows what did happen. Something probably did happen when Brooke left, but I'm kind of surprised Brooke didn't like I don't know, try to get help or call somebody like she did for Peyton, even though she didn't know Solaris very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, she quickly walks past people to find a spot to be alone and catch her breath. And she's, very scared for her safety now, as she should be. And then back with Rachel and Peyton. Rachel mentions to Peyton her jacket is nice. She had one like it once. She got from a vintage store, but she left it at this guy's house one night and loved the jacket, but he had the guy, so she never went back for it.
Yeah. And then Peyton said hers came from her birth mom.
Mm-hmm. And Rachel says she heard about that. It sucks. And then tells Peyton, sorry, she's not so good at the whole shoulder to lean on thing. And Peyton says she's in luck because she's not looking for one. On the other hand, she's looking for another drink. And Rachel says that works for her and gives Peyton a drink to try called Sympathy. So this is probably the drink that really did Peyton over, and she's not paying attention to what Rachel put in it or anything like that. She could have easily drugged her too. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then Karen is in her room when there's a knock on the door, saying somebody's, and she thought it was Keith, saying someone's in trouble. Then she opens the door.
Haley.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was not even past curfew. And then
Right.
that's when she realized she was talking about Keith.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets all kind of weirded, grossed out about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said that she just wanted to, watch pay-per-view.
Yeah, because Nathan's busy, yeah.
Well, and clearly Peyton is too.
Yeah. And then, so Karen lets her in. And then inside, Haley looks at the TV guide. Karen says nothing too scary. And then Haley mistakes for what she thinks is a John Cusack movie called Must Love Dogs, but it's actually a porn movie. So Haley double checks the guide, realizing she missed the letter. And Karen, after a good minute, then rushes to turn off the TV in panic. And then I guess she forgot Haley had the remote, so she could have just took it out of her hand. But yeah, so she did take a good minute to turn off that TV.
Oh yeah, they were watching.
Mm-hmm. I don't like it. You think just a quick glance, you would know what it is without having to watch it for more than a few seconds. But
all you got to do is hear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then back with Nathan and Lucas, they're playing ball on the street of Tony's house, and Tony's mom and brother are teasing him for Nathan beating him. And while his sister, of course, is with Lucas on the side,
putting eyeshadow on.
Yeah, blue eyeshadow on him. Oh, but she did look good. She did good job.
Yeah, she did a good job. But then he was like, "I'm not sure blue's my color," and she goes, "Trust me, it brings out your eyes."
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
Yeah, and it did match his shirt. So
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wondered what Chad thought of this episode, for his character, like a little girl, loving him, and then putting eyeshadow, and it was just funny.
Yeah. And then that's when Brooke calls Lucas. He answers the call by saying, "How is the most beautiful girl doing in New York?"
He drove me nuts in this.
Yeah, well, it was funny but sad to see Leah hurt to find out that he has a girlfriend. And Brooke's in the cab telling Lucas she's great. The little sister?
Oh, no, I didn't like Lucas for the simple fact that
he didn't
notice. Brooke is upset and sad, and he's all smiling and yeah, I miss you too, and I see you. And so, do you not hear her voice? Right. She's literally holding back every tear in her body. I was like, Lucas,
right? But
because if that was Peyton, he would know right away.
Yep.
So that's what I didn't like, was that he was so not even listening to her. Because if you did for a second, you would know she's not happy. She's actually crying.
Yeah. Yeah, so she tells Lucas that she has to go, but she can't wait to see him, and her voice is breaking at this point, but he still doesn't notice.
Oh, he's still just smiling when he gets out of the phone. I'm like, wake up there, bud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Tony's brother's beating Nathan at the game. He calls Nathan an old man, and then makes a basket when Nathan isn't looking. Tony's dad walks over to Lucas, telling him he's done. When you finish
your makeover, you should take over for me.
Yeah, because he's headed to work. And
No,
Lucas
but
and
it was
Nathan tell
funny.
him, tell him thank you and that he has a great family. He must be proud. And Tony's dad says he is. And then Nathan tells Tony that he has an awesome dad. And Tony says he could have played, D1 ball, but just ended up being a dad instead. And Nathan asks if he's bitter about it at all. And Tony says no, he's in love with his life, doing good now.
I'm not gonna lie. When Tony
Mhm.
said, but he just ended up being a dad instead, I was like, the word just. I didn't like it because it's like when people say like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom. You're just this. You're
right.
like belittling people. I don't like that at all. So the fact that he is saying like he's just a father, that is the greatest gift you can be or have. So the fact that he is a father, of course he's proud and happy of that. Like, what, Tony? Like, that he's just a dad?
Well, with his tone, I took it like his dad is just a dad, as in like that was like that's enough for him. He doesn't need more than that.
That should be enough for him. That's what I mean. Being a parent is the greatest gift and job you can have. It's the toughest, but it's the best. And the fact that Tony's dad sees that, I love, but I just didn't like when he said just. He's just a dad. I didn't like that part.
Yeah. Well, he mentions that when he was little, they were broke, and but he was happy then happy now because he's working 2 jobs, and his dad says regret makes you old and bitterness poisons the people around you. And Lucas tells Tony his father is a smart man, so you can easily tell that this was like the truth, but also probably like a dig at like not necessarily a dig, but just the truth about Dan, because that's what he is. He is bitter and he does poison the people around him. And then back with Brooke, who's still in the cab, she asks for the cab driver's name. He tells her she can call him Daoud. And Brooke says she doesn't think she can call him dad because she guess she misheard him. So he says it again.
That was weird. I'm like, he did
Right.
not say dad, Brooke.
I guess it could have been like not being able to understand him with his accent, but I don't know. That's just little.
Well, I definitely didn't hear the word dad. I didn't hear dad come out of his voice.
Right. So I think that's maybe just like a little microaggression back then. And then she asks him if he can turn on the radio. She has some important decisions to make, and then he does, but it's, in Hindi. So she has no idea what she's getting for an answer to her questions. So she asks Daoud what the song is about. He says it's a story about a young girl who is sad. She's torn between 2 men, of course. And he says one is rich and offers to take her away from her home and show her the wonders of the world. And Brooke asks, then why is she torn? And he says because the other man, she's known all her life, she loves him very much.
So what is this referring to?
I guess the fashion show is the rich man, and then the one that she's known all her life and love is her home life right now. Yeah, it can get a little confusing because there's a love triangle already, but not necessarily with her and 2 guys. But yeah,
right. That's what threw me off because I'm like,
yeah. And then back with Bevan and Skills. Skills is floating on the water of the pool. He even has the little floaties on his arms, which is cute. And Bevan's holding him, and he says he's not ready for her to let go yet. And she says it's okay, then go upstairs whenever he wants. And he says, then he's like, oh,
well, then he
I'm
goes,
tired.
Yeah, I'm tired. What?
Yeah.
And she's thinking of something else.
And then I think she was trying to, tempt him by saying there's only one bed in the room. But of course, he already knows that because he was in the room. But okay,
yeah, he was sitting on the bed.
Yeah. And she says that she hopes he's cool with that, and he says that as long as
it's not a water bed.
Yeah, so that was a funny moment. But yeah, he already knows what the room is looking like. And then back with the boys, Lucas mentions that him and Tony's brother AJ. I don't like how they like kind of mention names late here. That's why I kept calling Tony's dad. I mean, their last name's Battle, but I don't know. I never heard of someone with that last name, so saying Mr. Battle just sounded odd to me. But Nathan comes back with Lucas might want to wipe off his
Well,
eyeshadow
because it
before he
was
talks
funny
smack.
because it was funny because he goes, and I rubbed up those guys tonight, and that's when Nathan's like, yeah, you might want to
Yeah.
wipe up the eyeshadow before you start talking smack.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. And then
Yeah.
Lucas goes, it's working for me. But
Right.
then they bring up how Nathan didn't say grace and how he made
Mhm.
that mistake. But,
Mhm.
he did, say like basic, well, because Lucas said he did, but that was when he was at his cafes, when he was at his mom's cafe, eating chicken fingers.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
Nathan always had dinner, uh, which was which was TV tray and whatever game was on.
Mhm.
So
And I had that made me think about TV tray because we know why they came up with that name because that's the kind of dinner that people sat in front of TV with, to eat. But now that there's only streaming, does that mean they are called streaming trays?
no,
I don't know. It just seemed
because
like,
you still watch it on
I mean,
TV.
yeah. I mean, I personally don't use my TV, but yeah, so that's why I thought of it. Yeah, I just like use my phone or my laptop to stream now. But
But then it's like, oh, I guess we can both thank Dan for those solo dinners.
mhm. Yeah,
But
and then
Lucas's wasn't really solo if he's always had Keith there.
yeah, I guess just not having Dan around, period, for both of them. And then Nathan then says that there's always Chuck Battle, who never had a father in his life. One generation just changed everything. And Lucas tells Nathan he can do the same with Haley.
Was she a kid?
No, just like start that family dinner tradition with just the both of them for now. And then, more in the future.
Because we're talking about Mr. Battle being a good father. And then he
Mhm.
says, you can start with Haley. And I was like, huh? She's not a kid? Or she's not
Yeah,
his kid?
yeah, I think just like having dinner together and talking and all that.
Because it was just weird to me. But I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then apparently Lucas is going to catch up with Nathan later. And then, teases Nathan about needing to take a bath because he stinks. But now we know that was probably like
Yeah, like going to
like
the
a hint.
bathroom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then back in the cab, Brooke tells basically is caught up, Dode on everything about Lucas and Peyton because he says he doesn't understand how she thinks she can trust Lucas this time around.
Yeah, and she says it's a long story.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when she mentions about the meter because she remembers, and he says he turned it off when they part. So at least that's good.
But it was funny because he goes, feel free to tip generously.
Yeah. And then she confesses that she doesn't understand why she's so sad when she's so young and this great thing is happening for her. This kind of reminded me of Audrey because she was kind of in the same position. She didn't know why she was so sad when she had good things in her life,
Sure.
The only difference is we know that Brooke handles it differently, more healthy wise because she has a support. Well, Audrey really didn't too much. I mean, they both had absent mothers, but yeah, so. And the cab driver tells Brooke that she has a lot ahead in life for her. And she asks if this means why rush it because she can be a fashion show or fashion designer tomorrow or when she grows up. And she doesn't have to be one tomorrow. And he says, no, he means the opposite. Time passes you by. You have a long life and you can start by making it great now because his life would be different. And if he had the chance that she's been given. And he asks if she'd rather drive a cab or design clothes. And she says he has a point and then tells him thanks and good luck with everything and gives him triple the fare, which was nice. And he tells her that she has a generous heart. And then before she leaves, she asks him what happens in the sun. And he says much happiness. He assures her. And then after getting out of the cab, she sees a group of teenagers messing around while next to them is a poster of Solaris. So that's like, again, her trying to decide what she wants. Her friends are like the high life. And then Brooke ends up at the fashion show and it's empty again. And then Juliet asks if there's any cheerleading for Brooke. And she says she guesses not. And Juliet says then if this goes well, her career will begin now. And she has to let go. And because, the designers have been struggling there for years. And yet overnight, she has this opportunity. And Brooke says it's the end of being a kid, right? And Juliet says being a kid ends for all of them. Having an apprenticeship with Donna Karen and her own label makes things easier. Do you know, is that a made up fashion designer or is that a legit person? I didn't look that up.
I don't know.
Cause she just cause we know why Brooke's there, but we never knew what the prize was. So, her mentioning the name, yep, it's a real designer. But yeah, her mentioning the name now, which is kind of weird because we never knew what the prize was until this very moment. But then Nathan gets back to his room where he finds candles everywhere,
And he
including
says, "Funny Lucas," and
yeah,
then he walks in the bathroom, and there's Haley in
yeah,
the
with more
tub.
candles, yeah. She
Yeah,
explains she switched rooms with Lucas, so does she have to sleep on the floor? And Nathan asks how she managed to do this. And she says Bevan, quote unquote, mastermind Mursky arranged the whole thing. And this is when Bevan gets the last name. They
yep.
kiss, and Nathan asks if there's any room for him. And he gets
Gets
in the
in with all of his
yeah,
clothes.
yep,
It was all cute.
yeah. And then elsewhere, Rachel is walking a very drunk Peyton, who's trying to get Rachel to sing a song with her. And I don't know the song, but she says that the one line reminds her of Luke or Jake. She means Jake, and Rachel.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke. I mean, and then Rachel's like, "Are you sure you don't mean Lucas?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rachel says, Payne says, no, Jake. And Rachel says, whatever you say. And then Payne gets serious saying she has to sleep now, but thanks Rachel for hanging out with her.
And
She's
Rachel's
not.
all happy because she's like, "Lucas is in there."
Mhm. Yeah, just funny because Payne says you're not the manipulative psycho I thought you were, and that's exactly.
So
Yep.
she walks in.
Yep. And Rachel opens the door before Peyton can figure out that she's at the wrong room because the key won't work. But then she lays down in the bed, and then the lights turn down, and Peyton is confused when she sees Lucas in the bed next to her.
Wait, who did you think was in the wrong room?
Peyton.
Key.
Yeah, because Peyton takes out her car key, so Rachel opens the door
Oh, yeah,
before
car
she tries
key,
it. Yeah, and then Lucas looks at Peyton and asks if she's drunk, and she looks at him and asks if
You
he's
have
wearing
eyeliner on.
eyeshadow, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lucas asks if she's working through the pain, and Payne says kind of, and then asks him if everything is going to be all right. He says, yeah, it is. And then later on, when it's more bright out in the morning, Peyton rolls over on the bed, ending up putting her arm around Lucas when she lands on her stomach. And he, for some reason, is still in bed right next to her reading the paper.
Like they're a married couple.
Well, I was thinking, like, aren't there any other places he could have read the paper? Or in the lobby or something even?
Listen, they're like a married couple, okay? That's what you would probably do. So I'm just saying, Lucas was very comfortable, okay? And
yeah, I'm just saying.
That's what he wants. He wants to be in bed reading his paper with Peyton.
Yeah, well, if he wants Brooke to trust him, this is not the move.
No, it's not. But it was damn cute.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, coming from a Peyton and Lucas fan, it was cute. Mm-hmm. But also, how many foreshadowings do we need in this season to show you Brooke and Lucas are not it?
Right. Yeah, especially if Brooke is thinking about leaving to be a fashion designer. And then Peyton, sees him and freaks out. She asks how drunk she was, and Lucas answers enough to puke.
Well, she threw up 6 times.
Yeah, I think that has to be a record. At least for, most people. I don't know about all people. I never did, but who knows? And then Payne figures out, as Rachel's doing, and Lucas says, yeah, she's probably not the best person to use the buddy system with.
And then she says, I feel like you're always rescuing me.
But how is this rescuing if she ended up in bed with him? He didn't do anything.
I don't know.
So that was only my confusion here.
I don't know, but I think that she says, I do feel like that's what she thinks.
I mean, maybe he did cover for her when Karen, if she did, checked on, knocked on the door and did a check-in. And Lucas says, we're good. Him and Nathan, supposedly, maybe that could have been a thing. But then when Karen would go to the room Payne's supposed to be in.
No, that is the room Payne's supposed to be in. That's Payne's room. Lucas.
Oh, yeah. Nathan is.
With Haley.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe he covered for her at that time when Karen maybe checked on them.
Or maybe she's just remembering everything and just saying you're always rescuing me. So
right. Yeah. But then Lucas says he can't rescue her from the routine she has to do in 3 hours. 3 hours, so he'll wake her up in a half hour.
That's when he says he'll wake her up. What?
Yeah, no, that's kind of more rescuing, yeah. Helping her out so she doesn't oversleep. And then in the other room, Haley,
that's like what a boyfriend should do.
Yeah. And then the other room, Haley and Nathan are in bed after having sex. And Haley says the bed is so
Are
comfortable.
are they in bed?
Well, yeah, because that's when the camera pans out later, yeah, and we see that they're not. And she's playing with the wedding ring on the chain around his neck, and her stomach growls, and she's embarrassed, saying that that was attractive. And then that's when the camera pans out to show them that they're actually on the floor next to the bed,
Yeah.
where the
And
actual bed is a mess.
And she wants room service, but he
Mhm.
wants a proper sit-down breakfast, family style.
Yeah.
Ooh, family
Yes.
style.
Yeah, so he's listening to Lucas.
Yeah, but family style. That
Mhm.
means you're a family.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what the hell they did last night to end up on the floor like that with the bed turned up like that.
Oh my god.
Crazy. And then back in Lucas's room, Payne is still sleeping and he's putting his shoes on when there's a knock on the door. He thinks it's maid service. He says they're good, but it's actually Brooke.
Brooke.
And then she stands there for a good second seeing the scene, and Lucas says nothing, making it now seem like he slept with Peyton.
So I have a question. Brooke had a key, right?
Yeah, so she was Peyton's roommate, yeah.
Then why was Haley? So Rachel arranged it for the three of them to be in one room and for her to be really by herself. Think about it. Everybody else had two people to a room.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Haley and Peyton were supposed to be roommates, but then Brooke has a key, which means she would be roommates with them.
I think Bevan explained it last, but yeah, I don't know.
No, because all Bevan said was that Haley and Lucas switched rooms, so Peyton needs to sleep with you because it's Brooke's boyfriend. Like, she didn't say anything about Brooke being the roommate and that she might walk in and see her boyfriend and Peyton. She didn't say anything about that. That's why I was shocked, because I'm like, so she was gonna have a room with all three of them? Or with
I don't know, unless the door happened to be unlocked so Brooke could walk in. I don't know.
No, it was probably Rachel probably arranged that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Rachel got a copy of the card case somehow and then gave it to Brooke to go into Payne's room. I don't know. And then so Brooke turns around with her bags and goes down the hall.
Well, yeah, because Lucas is getting ready, sitting on the bed, and Peyton is sleeping. What?
Yeah, like I said, he doesn't explain himself until he's out in the hall with her.
Okay, but then he says it's not what it looks like. I slept on the floor? When?
Right.
Because when she rolled over, you were awake and you were in bed. When she came to your room, you were in bed. When did you get up to go to the floor?
Right, that's what I said. I said, but if he did that, then that means he got back in bed with Payne just to read the newspaper. Like, that doesn't make sense.
It's just odd. Like, why are you saying that you slept on the floor when we know damn well you didn't sleep on the floor? We saw you. You were very comfortable in bed.
Yeah. So then he explains that Payne was drunk and crashed in his room by accident, but doesn't mention it was Rachel's plan for this exact thing to happen. And he says it wasn't Payne's fault because the rooms got switched, which is the truth, but not the whole truth. And Payne didn't get the message. So I didn't like that either.
He should have said Rachel got her drunk.
Yeah, Brooke would totally believe that.
Like the same Rachel that sent you away this weekend.
Yeah. So I don't know why he didn't tell her.
Yeah. Well,
because it's not like
he must want to get caught because he also didn't hear that she was hurting on the phone. So that must be it.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say, but then he adds he's thrilled to see her, and he says that what do they say about trusting each other? And he touches her face, being sweet, and says Payne needs both of them right now.
Really?
And Brooke, and she's like so like upset about what happened over the weekend, and so she just believes him because she doesn't want to get into it and just goes into his arms.
Well, she basically got violated her own self. So she wants comfort, and Lucas is it.
Yeah. And she says she missed him, but he doesn't even ask about how the fashion show went. So
or what happened, anything good or bad happened.
Yeah. And then downstairs in the lobby, Payne is wearing sunglasses because she's
She's
hungover.
drunk.
Yeah, she walks up to Rachel. Rachel comments somebody had a rough night, and Payne says, says the girl who poured drinks down my throat and then dropped me off at my best friend's boyfriend's bed. And Rachel acts innocent and saying that she led her to the door. Just that's all she did. And Payne says her and Lucas aren't giant pandas. You can't put them together and expect them to mate. And then tells Rachel to talk soft because she has a terrible voice. And then Rachel tells Payne that she was just trying to help her out. She's sorry if that's not what she wanted. And then that's when Payne says the memorable line of, "You can't see it, but underneath my sunglasses, I'm rolling my eyes." And then Brooke calls Payne Sal. And Payne tells Rachel to speak of the devil. And Rachel tells her not to take the call because they have to get ready. Brooke's not a part of this. And Payne answers the call anyway and tells Brooke she's so happy she's not with her right now. And Brooke says she sounds like...
So when Brooke came, so in the hallway, they never went back to the room. She still had all of her bags. So where'd she put them?
She was probably already in the lobby and then probably changed in the bathroom or something.
Yeah, but you would keep your bags in the hotel room. It's weird because she was headed to the hotel room, and then there was Peyton, and then what she'd do with them? She didn't, because when Peyton wakes up, she would see Brooke's bags. So the fact that right here she doesn't even know Brooke is there, like where did Lucas and Brooke go, and where's her stuff?
Yeah, like I said, she probably took her bags to the bathroom first to change, and then bring them back out with her into the lobby when the girls were down there.
No one else has their bags though.
I know, because everybody's already unpacked in their rooms and everything, but Brooke doesn't have a room.
know. So Brooke, where are her? But my thing is, if she's going to a competition, she's going to keep her bags in the hotel room. And my thing is, she was headed to the hotel room. If her and Lucas had made up, she would have put her things in that hotel room, and then Peyton would have seen them.
She probably put them in somebody else's room, like any of the other girls' rooms that were there. Maybe Bevan's, who knows? And then, Brooke can tell by Payne's voice that she's hungover, and she sees her too. So that's when they see Brooke's nearby, and Haley and Payne are all excited to see her.
All the girls are happy. And then, of course, that's when Rachel was like, oh, my routine, like, unfortunately for you guys, my routine only needs 9 girls, not 10. And like somebody will have to sit this one out. But then Rachel's like, Brooke was like, oh, we can manage, right, girls? And they're all excited. Yeah.
Yeah, she was mocking Rachel because she did the same thing to her before.
My thing is, Brooke missed that practice outside. When she showed up, she left. Then here, they've been practicing all weekend, and she's not even there. So how is she going to even know this routine?
I really don't know, but I did like how...
It's not even like they stayed up all night like that, like the year before. They're ready to go to the competition, and she doesn't even know the routine.
Yeah, I don't know, but I did like how Haley asked at least Brooke how the fashion show went. So now we know that that's when Brooke says she has the rest of her life for that stuff, not so much being 17 with her friends. And then, so later at some point, then I don't know if this was like she said for them to go stretch, still mocking Rachel, but I think that's when they went over the routine, because then later Peyton's outside to get some fresh air. And when she puts the sunglasses back in Ellie's jacket, she finds a picture of them that she put in there. And she reads on the back of it, last day with Peyton too. And then that's when Lucas sits next to her on the steps, before she can cry and asks if she's okay. Peyton tells him he can't be there with her. And Lucas says it's okay because he talked to Brooke. She knows what happened. Not everything, but yeah. And then Peyton says it's not okay. It is, but it's hard on Brooke. And so she'll be fine. Lucas looks at the picture as if he knew that was, what she had the whole time in her hand, and says that she can learn a lot from Ellie. And she can learn from her mistakes and don't live life alone. Let them in, including him. And he walks off.
I think that's what he meant. Let us, and I think he meant let me in.
Yeah. And then at the event, Keith tells Karen that he's still trying to figure out which was more fun last night, sleeping on the floor or Whitey snoring to the theme song of MASH. And he tells her to stop that or top that, I'm sorry. And Karen says she took a bath, hung out with Haley, and watched an adult movie. And Keith says that Haley is a bad influence. Yeah, the line's funny, but also weird because she's still a minor and they're in their 30s, so they should not be watching, porn with someone that young, even if she's married. But Karen tells Keith most of all she missed him. So I wonder if the secret brand was like a sponsor for this episode, because it had to be, but for in the show it's for the cheer competition, which is still weird. But routine still sits next to Lucas. He asks what he's doing there, and why does he smell like vanilla or like dessert? And he says it's a vanilla body spray. Plus, Bevan is teaching him how to swim, and Lucas says he's the best swimmer he knows. And Skill says, right,
You
he's
wanted
swim
to
lessons
know,
for her.
Booker.
Yeah, get her back, yeah. And backstage, Rachel tells Payne to pick it up. Payne says she can't help it. Someone got her drunk last night.
No, they're actually doing the routine. It's not backstage.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I put back on stage, so I just put that all together. Yeah, so I'm surprised Rachel said that when everybody can see them, because they're not really supposed to talk and be a distraction, but it was enough a distraction
Yeah,
or
but when Skill says go, Bevan, that's
yeah.
when she stumbles and stuff, and then her and Peyton kind of fall into each other, and it turns into a mess. Anyway, it turns into a little disaster until
Mhm.
Brooke then just starts being goofy, and then everyone starts being goofy, and then the team gets on stage, and it's all cute, and then of course, then it goes to Kieran and Keith, and Kieran proposes to him, and he said like that was his job, and then she kisses him.
Mhm. But then at the fashion show too, they find out that Brooke had checked out this morning, and you can see that Solaris was happy because she knows that Brooke is like saved from the toxic environment she's in, and she can be a kid again. And then, too bad we don't like in the future we don't see Solaris work for Brooke. That would have been a great callback, for her fashion lane
Mhm.
as a
Oh,
model.
so after the competition,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes to Whitey because they're checking out, and Whitey was like, "I did not order porn."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm embarrassed.
Well, I mean, everyone is standing there, so yeah, it was embarrassing.
Right. So
But
then does that
whose room were they in
yeah.
then?
I was gonna say, like, why was Karen in his room? Like, wouldn't she have her own room? Yeah, so I don't know. The rooms just don't make sense in this whole episode. And the girls on the drama queens didn't mention it because they're talking about they're talking to a writer for this one. So they didn't talk too much about the episode. But yeah, so I don't know. It's TV. It doesn't make sense sometimes,
Yeah,
especially these days.
I was just confused. I was like, "Where are they?"
Mhm. Yeah.
So anyway, high and low.
High was Brooke deciding to go back and be with her friends and be a kid a little bit longer, especially after seeing how bad the industry is. That was a good move for her. I just hope that eventually she did talk to somebody about it because, a lot of the kids go through a lot of traumatic things on this show, but none of them, until at least they're adults, actually go to therapy when they really need to here now. And then the low was, again, Brooke experiencing everything at that party. And yours?
Yeah, my high and low are kind of the same. It was Brooke in New York, kind of like living out her dream, um, but then the low was what happened
Mm-hmm.
that made her leave, and so it's kind of like a high and low. I liked that she got to explore that, but also didn't like what happened. And
Mm-hmm.
I liked how she was there for Solaris or whatever her name is.
Yeah. And then rating?
I'd rate this a 7.5. I mean, it wasn't the best episode.
I give it an 8 because it was entertaining with the whole Rachel sabotaging things with Peyton, Lucas, and Brooke, even though it didn't make sense for some of it. And then the best and worst.
So my best was Brooke. I like how she was taking care of Solaris, and she didn't, and she left because that was not her scenery that she wants, and that she just wanted to be a kid for like one more time, and
Mhm.
because you're not going to get those back when you're old. So I like that part, and I mean, she forgave Lucas very fast. And she stuck up to Rachel, and I just love Brooke for all that. So to me, she was the best, and I loved watching her in this episode. It was one reason that she kept me going in the episode. And then the worst was Rachel for doing that to Peyton and Lucas.
Yeah, mine were the same too.
And then what's the next episode?
Episode 15, just watch the fireworks. It could either be a bad, saying that something bad's going to happen, or good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.